Kirsten Dunst, bro.
Show me, please, somebody.
Like, what am I even supposed to do to you right
She has
now?
those classic good looks.
By the way, this is her.
Can you show me
Adagio.
Kirsten Dunst, please?
Kirsten Dunst is
Jeff,
extremely
This is
beautiful.
can you show me
woman.
Kirsten
Oliver's
Dunst,
type.
Talented
this
actress.
girl?
Kirsten
Kirsten
Dunst, which Jeffrey will show you. She does a great job at playing this character.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, I know her.
Of course you do.
She's from Spider-Man.
Brilliant. Of course she's a Spider-Man.
God. That's the movie. Okay. Look,
She has that look for this person who's a psycho on the inside, which fits into that, you know.
I don't know how she gets later into the season. I'm
I
really
thought you were just going to say.
Right.
I don't
I'm really
get
curious
how she
about
gets
that
laid.
because
Our best performance.
Which episode was it you were in?
I
What?
think
Melancholia.
I was in the episode where they have
But they
Dot
want to talk
in
about something
the
else now,
hot
so we're
cabin.
just gonna watch.
Oh,
it.
And
yeah.
they just
So you're
called,
near the
they
end
just
now.
called the black guy
Mm.
to say he's a.
Okay, his name is Mike Milligan.
I didn't know what his name was.
Milligan. Then find a different way of describing it, Jeff. We're not gonna.
He's the
talk
only
like
black
that.
guy in the whole show. Come on.
Jeff, I'm gonna fire Jeff off this fucking podcast if you don't learn how to talk. Every time with this
Are
dumb
you
shit
recording
that
this?
you be
Yeah,
saying.
okay.
We've been recording. for a
Getting us
few
in
minutes
trouble.
already.
Mike Milligan, played by Bokeem Woodbine. The next to Kirsten Dunst, the best performance in that entire season.
A
hands
guy,
down.
a relative unknown,
Show me the
comes
guy.
in there and kills it.
No, I'm not.
Kills it. So
He was.
that's important, man. You know, put some respect on the man name. Put some respect on the man name. Bokeem Woodbine plays Mike Milligan. Season 2 of Fargo. You guys are
Yeah.
behind those. Season 3 is out.
Internet is slow here.
I've
Season-
watched both, the first and second, and then yeah,
Okay.
that's that thing.
Amsterdam International Radio.
This is 3 Angry Men. That is Oliver.
My name's Donker.
Name is Nick.
My name is Jeffrey.
And today we're going to basically unpack how to do an anthology. Anthology series have become very popular in the last couple of years.
The more and more popping.
More
up,
and more popular, I think particularly of shows such as Fargo and True Detective. That for me at least.
also-
American horror
Black
story
Mirror
too.
is also something that.
Yeah, but
become
Black
very-
Mirror we're going to talk about later because that's your boner, Jeff. That's your boner. We're
I-
gonna
it's-
let
Black
you-
Mirror, I never got in. Like,
We're
I
gonna
never
let
even
you-
started.
Like you need to calm the fuck down.
We're going to let
We
you
just
arouse
started.
yourself. We're going to let you arouse yourself to that later.
Shit.
We should start putting statistics up, like who gets the most shade in this.
It's always me.
It's always Jeff.
It's
Jeff's
always
like
me.
90%.
Because
95.
off the mic, I give them shade, and then they get
Whoa,
angry, and they're
you
trying
don't
to.
give shade for shit. What are you talking about?
Off the
We
mic, I
bash
give
your
them
ass
shit.
every single time.
And then here, they always want to get me,
Let's
get at me.
focus- let's
I don't know
focus
why
on-
they do that.
Because this is
Fargo
public.
and
Yeah,
True
they
It's a
wanna-
Detective.
public
They
execution.
want to make me look bad in
Yeah,
front
let's
of
talk
everybody.
about Are we gonna do content today, or are we gonna just do comedy?
I don't know. We're doing what you always do.
Continue,
Come on.
Continue.
These guys, man, they're struggling. They're making me struggle. Fargo and True Detective came out in the same year, as I remember it. I think they even ran literally in the same season,
They
same
did?
time. The first 2 seasons, yes, came out in the same year. I know that. Same, or at least around the same time. I remember that they were also. I think they were also being compared. I think they were even nominated in the same Emmy
Yep,
ceremony.
they ran at the same time.
Yeah, they ran the same. The first 2 seasons.
2014, they both started the first season.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
you.
Facts.
Okay.
Facts. Because if I was wrong, I get beat up. So
I will let you get beat up.
this is you
For
would.
Jesus. Still running.
This is this was a moment for anthologies. This was a moment for anthologies.
Yeah.
These anthologies. So anthologies are first. Let's explain what they are. Anthologies are basically television series where every season is a completely different story, but the story does consistently take place in the same universe with similar characters and similar plot lines. It's just that the specifics of the story change. So the location might be slightly different, the time period might be slightly different, but the style and the type of the way that it's shot, the type of story that it is, the way the plot progresses, is very
mostly-
similar.
Yeah, it's mostly the same.
It's mostly the same, and the show is also upholds the same title. So Fargo is an example of this. True Detective, American Horror Story is an example. Black Mirror is an example where they do that every episode.
Yeah.
Different, which I don't completely feel like that is.
It's not. Yeah,
So I'll explain it later.
it's not.
why.
Yeah,
But I think Fargo and True Detective really established, really brought anthologies back onto the map. That's when I remember people really talking about it again. Like, okay, anthologies are cool, and I think there's been more since then. But I don't.
yeah. You
know.
have American Crime, American Horror Story. You talked about that. Are You Afraid of the Dark? I think that's an older one, probably. Yeah, Looney Tunes. That's a
Yeah,
really old one. Yeah,
the Scream Queens, which is also
Scream
derived
Queens,
from.
yeah.
Isn't that an anthology? I think it's derived from.
I haven't seen
Story.
enough to know. I've
Like-
seen
No,
multiple
but
seasons.
Fargo and True Detective were the two big ones. They were the two big ones that really got the attention towards it.
Two big
again.
new ones because before that
Yeah,
there were a lot
but that's
more.
one thing that
Yeah.
brought the attention
Yeah,
back to
yeah.
it because before, you had more it were more like you had mini series.
Yeah, Twilight Zone, Twin Peaks,
Yeah.
those kind of shows.
And mini series
yeah.
would run for like a certain amount of time, for like a good 8 episodes or 10 episodes, but then once, and then after that it'd be done. So you wouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
another season. Here you get another season, but every time it's a different story,
Yeah.
a different place, different time with different characters, but similar. And today I personally think that what was interesting is that they both started around the same time. They both were an enormous hype, and then True Detective made some mistakes. Famously made some mistakes that everyone knows of, which led to the second season not being as successful as the first. By a large, the difference was large. Although, despite that, season 2 was still very good and still did also quite well.
If season 2 was season 1, then it would have had higher ratings, for sure.
It's just that season 1
But
did
Fargo-
so good.
But Fargo was consistent,
Yeah.
which I have all sorts of theories that I could talk about right now. But I feel I'm gonna talk to you. What do you
Okay,
think?
but I haven't watched any
Yeah.
of those.
Yeah, but that's your problem.
Anthology.
You don't do this shit.
listen.
You always
Shut up,
watch
shut up.
this.
I'm talking now. Okay, I'm talking.
I can cut off this mic,
This is
that
just,
mic I can cut
So
off.
listen, What I'm trying to understand is what is the appeal? Because in normal TV shows, you can invest in a certain character, and you can actually as the character progresses and the story progresses, you can actually pick your favorite and just go along with his or her journey.
Mhm.
But in such a concept, it's very hard to get invested. I believe in a character because it's going to be done the season is going to be done in 13 episodes or something.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah.
But
But
those
that's
13
all.
episodes are an hour each.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like watching a very long movie where you still get invested with the character. But they do the characters in such a complex way. There's this whole backstory to them that you really feel, they really build it up so that you feel with them.
I think.
But if you
I think
have
another
that
part,
in the back of your mind that it's going to be done in 13 episodes,
you forget
do
you forget the fact that
Mhm.
these seasons live in the same world. So this whole world is fleshed out. You know how the world works. You know that why certain people do certain stuff. You know what the intricacies are of the mental states of all these people. You know all of that.
Mhm.
That helps into world building. So every season doesn't have to do that again. You can directly dive into a completely new story that's really interesting, that's gripping, that can take you to different places and just is really mind blowing. Or yeah, it's really mind blowing. So it brings you there, and you don't have to worry about all that backstory. And you get the fact that these people, these creative people, are always pushing themselves, always bringing new stuff. So you never get like tired tropes in that kind of stuff. You don't get what you get in normal TV shows that they're basically forcing their characters through this world because they have to do it because the studio or the broadcaster says, yeah, we need 20 more seasons of this thing. No, they are just making this season. They are done with the characters. The characters have a satisfying end, satisfying beginning, satisfying middle.
But doesn't it? Aren't they forced, or the producers, directors, whatever? Aren't they forced to create a compact, very shortening? They have to shorten the way they film, the way they produce the whole series, right? Or the
Challenges
season.
make most of the time. Challenges make creative people more creative and more interesting. Like if they work on something that's constrained in the sense of, hey, you have only this amount of episodes,
Mhm.
you only have this amount of budget and all that kind of stuff. They can be very creative and they can create some interesting and really good stuff. More so sometimes than when they get big ass budgets.
This is the kind of stuff Jeff likes. Talk about this. Creative
You
people
can hear it. We gave him his time to talk.
creative people have
Why-
magic
what-
powers when they. No, listen, man. Number one thing. See, this is what's very interesting. Anthologies, what they do is it's set up in such a way that every season a lot happens at once, so they're
Mm.
very fast paced, so that you do get a full story. That's what it is. Is that if you have an anthology, you do have to cram a lot in one.
That's
a
the thing,
lot
yeah.
of characters, man. That's
lot
the
of
one.
characters and
Especially in season 2.
Yeah, but also
Yeah,
a lot of
of-
experiences. A lot of things have to happen
hmm
to keep people entertained. But what it does is it gives you sort of a heightened viewing experience because it's a lot more fast paced.
I think
It's a lot more. So it's not as slow and you don't have the time to just
Mhm.
I think
Spread it
why
all out.
that actually works in this day and age is because the kids nowadays want this high pace
That, yeah,
True.
for sure.
and everything, but doesn't that take away of from the storytelling?
No, it's just a different kind of story. I think
Yeah.
if you have something like Mad Men, you can clearly see that
Mhm.
just in terms of the timeline alone and just the way that the story is paced, it just they know they're gonna go on for a while. They have, or the intention at least is to go on for a
Mhm.
while. And they have enough time to
build up.
to build up and to flesh out the entire story. What you often see is that successful anthologies that I've seen are often things like crime dramas or American Horror Story still has an element of.
So we're talking about
of
True
being-
Detective and Fargo.
Fargo.
Yeah.
Those are two most successful ones right now.
They're
that I
both
know of.
9.1 on IMDb, 9.
Yeah,
both.
of recent. And then you have American Horror Story, which is also very successful, but that still has like a thriller sort of element.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it's always a lot of characters, and there's always something happening. So you always have to go on to the next episode really quickly.
Mhm.
And I think that element is what allows for binge watching.
Mhm.
But it also allows for people to stay engaged with the story, and it then just provides a different kind of viewing experience. It's not like a show where it takes very long for everything to happen. Characters. So I think the reason your motivation for watching is
Mhm.
I think that that's what makes these shows so. Also, they're just very good shows. Like they're just very well done, but they're done in a way. It's an experiment of format. Because if you think about it, it sounds like it's too short. But if you watch a movie's 3 hours max. It's a
Mhm.
long movie. This is still if you're watching a full season of Fargo. It's what 13 episodes. Each is an hour. It's 13 hours. It's plenty of time to tell a story. It's
Yeah.
plenty of time, right? And what happens here is that because they know how the season's going to end, the endings are always the storytelling is actually heightened because it's very organized. You can see it's planned correctly. That's the big challenge of television is that you don't know how you're going to end and exactly where you're going. You have to adjust as you go. That's always where you have these difficulties, which brings me to what makes Anthology so powerful, but also makes me question then what happened with True Detective, is that with anthologies, you don't have the same problem that TV shows have where they run too long and then people start losing ideas and they start taking left turns into the wrong direction. Dexter is a brilliant example of this. Everyone will tell you.
Yeah.
I haven't
Season-
watched the last season.
Season 1, brilliant. Season 2, okay, good. Season 3, we're still watching. Season 4, okay, all right, you're going that way now. Season 5, there we go. Left turn. Just because at the end of
Season
season
5 was the last one, huh?
no, it's 6 and 7.
6
Yeah.
or 7. I haven't
They went on
watched
to
7.
7.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that too. But there, they clearly did something there that was just, and I have that with live TV shows. Weeds, for example, I think is one
Yeah.
of the best shows I've ever watched. If you look at the first 3 seasons, But what
Anything after
happens-
that is just.
yeah, because they changed. All of a sudden, they try and change the whole premise of the show. The
'Cause-
premise of the show was that it was a suburban housewife
He has a
selling
problem with
weed.
that.
Yeah.
And what do? They take the housewife out of the suburbs. Okay, so now it's a different show, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You see, with anthologies, you don't get that. With anthologies, you have the problem because every season they get to do a whole new thing.
Also
already.
because
But is
it's
that a-
strict.
is
They
that a
have
risk-
they have to
This may be a
create to a
segue. This is
certain.
maybe a segue,
Those-
but isn't it a risk to change the characters, change this maybe the surroundings, and maybe the story, because what attracted you to the previous season, may not be the same thing that attracts you to the
Very
second
good
season.
question.
But that's what
Because
happened
that's
to
the
True
problem
Detective.
with the True
then.
That's
Detective.
the art. That's the art of the anthology, right? So this is where Fargo won.
Mhm.
If you watch Fargo season 2, almost every character you have in 1, you can trace back to 2 in a different form.
Like a family tree.
Yeah, but no, but actually is like a family thing. But
Yeah.
like in terms of their types,
Like
so if you look
spiritus,
at, for example,
But there's actually a family, yeah.
yeah, there's
in it.
actually
There's
family. But if you
the
look at
father-
like the character played by Martin Freeman,
Yeah.
right? In season 2, that's the character played by Kirsten Dunst. It's the same
Yeah.
type. That's the same
Yeah.
character.
Mhm.
It's just now it's played by a woman, and the situation's different. But the way she behaves and her situation,
Yeah.
like how she. Well, I don't want to. Can we just
Yeah,
Are we
talk
doing
about
No,
it.
no, no,
But they're
Talk
the-
Are
about
we
it.
doing
Talk about it.
spoilers? Or are we?
For Fargo, people are watching like
This is
Season
two.
season
yo.
2.
Came out already.
Most people have
Oh, okay.
already watched it, so,
Okay.
and I don't
She
mind
kills,
spoilers.
No, in season 1, Martin
that's
Freeman
you,
kills
man.
someone
That's you.
basically sort of by accident.
Yeah, yeah.
She also kills someone by accident. She's a regular person who kills someone by accident and then gets put into this story of crime and killing someone. And has to figure out it's the same character.
Mm.
This is
And then you have the lone wolf who kills everybody in season 1. In season 2, that's the Indian.
Yeah.
Same fucking thing. They just put the same, but then they change the position and different.
this
kind
is
of people,
the
okay?
Coen Brothers formula. I think they're some of the most brilliant directors. These two in ever, because in all their movies you can trace it back as well. It's these people, these innocent people that accidentally get in the situation that they don't know the gravity of the situation they get into, but they're so invested in it that they just get in trouble with the wrong people.
I mean, I think
Black comedy.
I think we have to just definitely establish that Fargo is originally a movie. In case you're, I don't know what you would be if you don't know that. No, seriously, no, because Fargo is it's an iconic film by the Coen brothers. I think it's very important, also very very crucial that we stress that Duncan does not know it, and that he should be ashamed of himself.
Duncan,
be
like
ashamed
whenever
of
we talk
himself.
about TV stuff, Duncan doesn't know shit
should be ashamed of himself
because he watches love and hip hop stuff and all that kind of stuff, and
Okay.
he
Fargo.
lives in that kind of world.
Shade
Fargo.
While you
down,
should be
shade down.
watching Fargo,
Shade
True
down.
Detective, you should be
Listen,
watching this
the
I
shit.
movie-
watched House of
iconic.
Cards,
Listen, man.
Suits, a White Collar.
Suit.
You call Suits? Come on.
We're not
those
even gonna do this right now.
Shit,
We're not even
yo.
gonna do this
Game
right
of Thrones.
God
now. We're
damn
not
it.
even gonna do this.
Marco Polo.
Marco
Suits.
Polo,
Okay,
you should
stop.
throw that
Suits.
away.
Suits said
Stop.
Suits. My
Listen,
backhand
listen.
started itching. My backhand is itching.
Those type
Oliver's
of
itching.
Oliver's
And-
about to hit you.
Listen, man.
and
Let's talk about
that's
no,
not their taste. So
Yeah, I wanna
so
point
they
something
try
out.
to they're trying to crucify me.
Listen, I want to
for
point
having
out
different
something very
tastes.
powerful. Though. I wanna
Just
point out
be
something very
yourself. Be unique. And
Slap him.
powerful. Listen, shut up now.
Fuck
I'm
this.
Do you
sorry.
consider this a Martin
Slap
Luther King
him.
thing?
Seriously, please. Let's get back to the content.
Yeah.
Fargo. But people might not realize this because I didn't even realize until you really think about it. Fargo, as opposed to True Detective, is in addition to being an anthology, also an adaptation.
Mm.
And maybe that's something that helps it because, like you said, Coen Brothers are actually the executive producers on it.
Yeah, that's why I am.
There's the whole Coen Brothers universe of their movies and stuff to build on.
Mm-hmm.
True Detective doesn't have this. True Detective is this man's name, the creator of True Detective,
Nick
Nick
Pizzolato.
Pizzolato. Yeah, I was butchering his name. Nick Pizzolato. I know his name, but I will say it wrong.
Yeah.
Listen, when you watch True Detective season 1, as someone who also wants to write scripts and is trying to learn how to do it, just from watching that, I could just tell that this took long to make. Just like because later on I read about it too and I found out that it did. But just from watching it, you could tell this took so long to make because the detail, the dialogue, and especially the monologues by Russell Cole, character played by Matthew McConaughey, and just the way that worldview, that existential sort of
It's like
worldview,
they made an entire
ties
script
into
about his
ties into
head,
the world.
his brain, basically. What's going on in there? That's a whole other story.
Yeah, it's insane. It just, you could tell this took years. There's no way. And then it becomes this phenomenal huge hit. And then HBO goes says, "Great job, man. So you got about a year. Another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one."
And then
You
more
cannot get
characters
it
as
again.
well in the
Yeah.
second one, even.
Well, but you see, that's a creative decision though, and it was wrong.
It was
because
wrong.
in season 1, the gold was that you had to focus. Not only did you only have 2 characters, it was also very much focused on just those 2 characters and their
A
relationship,
little bit
Yeah.
their families, a little bit around them, but
but not much.
Because they
it's
were
all
such polar
all
opposites
about-
as well.
yeah.
And
The
then
one
in
with
season 2, they start fucking with 4 people. They have 4 people now.
Yeah.
Spreads out the focus. You already have 1 season. Here, Dunk is right. You have 1 season. You want to do 4 people. The balance. See, in Fargo, they have a lot of people. But in Fargo, it works because the dynamic is different. The purpose of the show is different. Here, the focus was really like depth
Yeah.
in terms of the characters. It was really
Yeah.
going very deep into specific characters. Fargo's more situational. Fargo's more like what happens
Yeah.
with the different characters.
It's more about the town is that big character, you know? That's what it is.
It's more about the collective, whereas here it really focuses on specific people. And I feel like they tried to do that. Here again, also, you see how the Rachel McAdams character was supposed to be the Matthew McConaughey character.
Yep.
But
But you don't
they
really
tried
see
to
the
translate.
troubled one, you know?
The troubled
Yeah.
police officer who
Which
has
is also
dark ass problems.
also Colin Farrell's.
He's probably the
character,
other
but-
troubled. Yeah.
So there's like 2 of the troubled ones.
Yeah,
One of them,
Woody
yeah.
Harrelson was also very troubled. in a
Woody, yeah,
in a
it was
season-
so,
season
but
two,
yeah, there's on,
season
yeah, in a more shallow way.
No, but it
You know?
didn't. It didn't translate as well. Recently they've announced that they are gonna do a season 3. They said they would cancel it, but apparently they're still gonna do a season 3. Maybe it was just to give the guy more time
Yeah. Like
to do it right.
That's what they said.
How
Then.
do we do True Detective season 3 correctly, guys?
When did it? Let's see. 2015. They've been working on it for, so they've had a couple of years, man. I think if they,
How do we do it, man? What do we not do?
small,
Mhm.
tighten the scope. Make it less characters. If you're going for deep character pieces, make it less. Go for 2.
you can have a few characters.
Oh yeah. Go for less characters. Like they had 4. This was too much. If you want to go back to the True Detective season 1 kind of feeling, go to 2. I would even say if possible 1, and then have the
People around
them
more
be
focused on one
be
person.
characters.
That would be
yeah.
phenomenal.
You know what?
Not
What?
really.
What the thing that caught my attention on True Detective 1 and comparing it to Fargo. The first season of True Detective, they and the second one as well. They didn't really focus much on the villains. You know, they had a very deep. You have this connection with. They focus on the main characters, the good guys. You know, whereas in Fargo, you see explicitly what every single person is doing, including the villains at that time, how they're planning and plotting and stuff. And True Detective, they didn't do that.
Also, True
um,
Detective, because True Detective
yeah.
wasn't about the villain. It
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
about the True Detective. I mean, it's called True Detective because it basically brings forth the
Yeah.
struggle of being a police officer.
Yeah.
That's
You
what
need-
it's and having to constantly confront evil as someone who is in law enforcement and having to compromise your own morals and ethics
Mm-hmm.
to achieve a higher goal that isn't even really there because the corrupt the people who are in charge in government and stuff are also corrupt, and also that's sort of the
Yeah,
idea of
yeah.
how it's all corrupt, but you're trying to find some sort of slither of justice within all this corruption
Yeah.
like taking
within
the
law enforcement and lawbreakers.
But as
And
you
that's what it is.
but as
That's
you
True
guys
Detective.
discuss these 2 TV shows or
Mhm.
even more, aren't these better? Wouldn't these be better translated in longer series? Because True
No.
Detective, because it's very complex, and
They could be. They could be, but it depends on what the person wants to do with this. Like, if they choose to do a longer series from Fargo, they can stretch this thing out into multiple seasons. They can stretch True Detective into multiple
See,
things.
but I really don't think so.
in the case of True
They-
Detective, right? True
There's
Detective.
I think there is a way to do it, but I don't think it
But
will
I
fit.
don't think it would be as good.
Yeah, true,
That's
exactly
my
that.
Why?
I think the whole thing is about the similar location, different time zone. You know, different time. What is it called? Different time
But
period.
also,
Yeah.
no, but you wouldn't be able to have. I mean, if you look at again, all the seasons are one story, so they're done. So
Yeah.
it really is done. So you would have
Yeah.
had to tell the story differently to leave more room for it to go
Exactly
on.
this.
But that's where you get
The stories are
trouble
that tight.
sometimes.
The stories are that tightly
Mhm.
wrapped up. Like it's everything is made sure that it fits in that one season perfectly. Like everything is put in the place where it needs to be. If you try to
So
stretch
True
that,
Detective, the first season would be perfect. It is perfect, actually.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Listen, the Anthology is a brilliant hybrid that allows you to benefit from the fresh start of the first season
A new cast.
and a new cast, but at the same time, also has consistency because it's
Mhm.
still the same universe and it's still the same type of story. So people still want to watch the second one, the second season, the next season, but you still get to change everything to still give people a new. Because that's the problem with a lot of TV shows.
Mhm.
TV shows are marathons.
Mhm.
That's really what a TV show is. It literally is a marathon. You do one season, great. Okay, now how about the second one? You do the second one, okay, good for you. Now
that's
the
why you
third
see all
one.
these shows
And it
making 10
becomes the
seasons.
longer you go, the harder it becomes. The longer a show goes on, the harder it becomes to keep it good. The first season is easy.
Yeah.
The first season, everyone does. People do first season all the time. A lot of shows get canceled.
So from a financial perspective, anthologies aren't that great
What do you mean?
because
They're
If you-
very good.
why?
If you want to make money, longer series are the
series
way.
are
No,
great,
because you keep
because
getting,
you need a cash cow, right?
no,
Yeah.
you keep getting paid, but you keep getting paid. You do the second season, people come again. People watch Fargo now. Season three
Yeah.
is out. People
Yeah.
watch that again.
Yeah, but it could also
But
be
if
a
you look
turn
at- if
for
you look at-
the casual viewers.
Mhm.
It could be a turn off that you get a completely new cast, different location,
that's
even though
what
it's the
I'm
same
saying.
kind of world.
But
It
that's
could
what I'm
be a
saying.
turnoff for people.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not like a mini series, which is just once and it's one story. Like you have mini series, it's just one
Mhm.
story, and then it's done, and then you never see it again. That's what they used to do, right? They have that
Mhm.
still. They
Yeah.
recently did one on HBO. I forget what it's called with Riz Ahmed. A night of, a night of. That was a mini series that really blew up. People were talking about it, and people wanted to see more.
What
of
was
it.
it about?
It's about a guy who's wrongfully convicted for murder,
Mm.
but it really looks like he did it.
Uh,
But, yeah.
Wrong
And-
place, wrong time kind of
Was
thing.
it
Yeah.
England?
Yeah.
Wrong, exactly
Was it in
that. Wrong
England?
place, wrong time. No, it takes place in New York. I'm
New
pretty
York.
sure.
Okay.
With a actor called Riz Ahmed. But I'm saying like with an see there done with an anthology you could people really liked it. With an anthology you could have said okay we're gonna do it again, but this is not the type of thing that we could extend, so we just do it again, but then different characters, different story, different place, and the people like familiarity.
Yeah.
That's the thing. People
Yeah,
forget.
yeah, yeah.
People really do like the same
Yeah.
thing, but it allows you to still add that
Change.
element of surprise.
Okay.
Also refresh for yourself as a storyteller. You get to start just over.
That
instead of
that
having to
helps a lot.
extend the thing on.
If you need
Very
to
powerful tool. If
if you need to force it on for seasons on seasons, I don't think anybody can come up with a good story for that long. Like if you are season 5 or something and you need to come up with good stuff, it's
hard.
difficult.
That's why very good shows, they know when to end.
Yeah.
Mad
Yeah.
Men.
Mentalist didn't know when to end.
They didn't know.
Oh,
Mad
that
Men.
was a problem though. Mentalist was a
But then,
problem.
okay, but now you see my point, right? That's what I'm saying. Very good show, but then at a certain point, it was just too long.
The Red
Stop.
Dawn
Yeah.
thing.
But they couldn't stop.
But like with Mad Men, did the producers decide it's gonna stop, or did the
Creator.
network
they
creator?
Together collectively.
I think
Collectively.
I think the network. I think I read that the network even wanted them to continue for some while.
And
Like,
yeah, they
they
did.
said
Yeah,
yeah.
No,
then-
he
then-
said, but he said, look, he's season 5. It's done. We're done.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad. Vince
Yeah.
Gilligan. We're done.
Mad Men went for 7.
Oh yeah, it's true. It went
Yeah.
to 7. Yeah, sorry. It was season 6 and the 7. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Breaking
Breaking Bad was 5. I
5,
think,
and then
yeah.
they split 5 in half.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yes,
They
true.
split that
Yeah,
one in half.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
but it was still season 5. That's true. I mixed it up. It was
Yeah,
they're
Breaking
both on
Bad, they
AMC.
ended it. I know the creatives ended it, and
And
yeah.
then Newsroom by Aaron Sorkin. After 4 seasons,
Yeah.
he said, "That's it."
Mhm.
You know, that's what I'm saying. It's
Would
hard
you
to
would you
keep it
say that
going
good
too long.
creators know
Yes.
when to do that?
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. That's
Mhm.
that's when you know someone is good at this. Is when they know like this is finished now.
But it's also the type of series. When you have like a Californication type of thing, it's just
No.
the life of a guy, and you can just extend that as long as you
Yeah,
want,
if-
and
if
it's when the
if
network
keep
tells
it
you.
that broad, yeah, but I still think that if the person who is at the helm of this, who's writing this stuff, knows what is good, they know when to stop it, and they will stop it when they feel like it needs to stop.
Mhm.
I
And-
believe Californication should have stopped. I think 2 seasons ago. So
Almost every
Yeah,
show that
yeah,
you
you
can
can-
talk about right now that is on for way too long, you can say, yeah, they should have stopped like 5 seasons ago. Or
But
2
like
seasons
Shameless,
ago.
you might be able to say the same thing about. I don't know if any of you watched Shameless, but that's still going. That's still going. They somehow find a way to bring in new characters or old characters from previous season stuff and still make a whole new story, new struggle happen.
It is possible. Like it's not like we're saying that you cannot make a season
Yeah.
like a long running show. Like a lot of people have done it and are good at it, and a lot of people are watching that stuff. But
Here's
for a clear, concise story that is well thought out, formulated from the start to the end,
but I've been
Mhm.
Yeah,
I've
you
been,
need something
I've been
different.
thinking lately about
What?
this television thing, and one thing I think I've noticed is that television is the only visual storytelling entertainment format where people can really build a fan base. Movies, that's the problem, is that movies, well, it's not a problem, but movies don't do that as easily.
Yeah, you
Like,
need a
franchise.
blockbuster.
they build it
Franchise.
unless that's why they've started franchising now. That's the point.
Mm.
That's why they've started franchising now. That's
Franchise.
the new movement. That's absolutely true. But before you didn't do that as often unless
No.
you franchise.
yeah,
But television is inherently like that. Like a TV show builds a fan base, and the networks also know this. So when they look at it, they say, "Okay, you do the first season, and that becomes a hit. Okay,
yeah,
it's still the first impression. If someone goes to a restaurant for the first time and it's really great, it doesn't mean that the second time is also going to be good yet. But when you have the second season and that one's also good, now you have 2 different occasions. So now you have a pattern, right? And when people build those patterns and have that association, then then they can become more dedicated to it. So after what you often see is when you have season 1, 2, 3, if a show can get past that, often they don't get canceled. Often, if they can get past 3, they get to 4 or 5.
You see-
unless the creator says stop,
Yeah.
or unless they have a cult following. You have shows that have cult followings, and then you have that.
Oh, but they
exception where
still
it gets-
cancel those every now and then.
after
Yeah.
season 3.
Yeah.
Not season 1 or 2.
They have been like that, but that's that was just before the internet and everything. They have canceled a few that did that because they couldn't see that these shows had cult followings. With the internet, it has
after
become easier.
No. Season 1, you don't have a cult following. That doesn't count.
No, but it's interesting you say.
A cult following really has to be like, if you look at Arrested Development, for example, they went to
Mm-hmm.
season 3, right? That had a cult following to the point where they renewed it, did a season 4 later on. Same thing with this show.
They're doing
Firefly.
another season, by the way. Arrested Development.
Oh, great! I'm gonna watch because I'm part of
This
cult
one,
following.
this one is going to be again like Arrested Development was not like the Netflix kind of thing that they did the weird jump.
The Netflix thing was good.
No, I felt like the older seasons were a little bit better because the way they did it was more. I enjoyed that more than the Netflix season. The Netflix season was not bad, but I enjoyed the original seasons more.
You're bugging.
Okay.
The movies that you're talking about, like the movies don't build a fan base. The movies that do build a fan base are the blockbusters, the one that have like trilogies and the ones that the James
Yeah.
Bond
Fast and
Franchise.
franchises,
Furious.
Star
Franchises.
Wars,
But
Lord
what
of the
you're
Rings.
saying-
But that proves my point,
what
right?
you're
You
saying
have to-
Exactly.
you have
also-
to keep
Yeah, I'm
doing
agreeing
it.
with.
What you're saying also speaks to the point, like, you see that Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, like, these shows didn't blow up from the first season. They needed some time to build up.
What?
So what?
Game of Thrones?
Game of
No,
Thrones
that's
did
true. That's true.
Game
They-
of Thrones didn't
I
need
don't
to.
know.
Not the first season.
It,
The first
first
season
season was
killed
It
first
was
season is
only,
good.
Like maybe the
But-
The
third
dude
when it
dude
became
that
what it
got
is now.
beheaded, right?
It was like, it's not saying that it was bad. It's good, but it didn't get like the following you see now for these shows.
It takes time.
Ah, okay.
It takes time.
It has
Like
the
it
time
takes
to do that.
Yeah.
How did it get the following after the
I think,
other few
Game of
seasons came
Thrones
out?
is a
Or?
bad
I don't know
example,
what moment
because
exactly
Game of Thrones
gave it that
got-
following, but
had a great following.
Yeah,
it was
but
the books.
hype
It's
in
the
se-
books.
the
The
hype-
books brought it.
Yeah, but the hype in season 1 was nowhere near what it was in like season 5.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I don't agree.
Absolutely
I don't
not.
agree.
I-
The
I-
show now is
you're-
like a
you're-
ridiculous thing. It's
Yeah.
like not even people like.
This,
Yeah, okay, that
You
is
didn't
true.
have that in
That is
season
true.
one.
But it was
That,
it was
like-
a hype the first season even.
I think
Yeah, but
The
I
second,
think one of-
the second
No, but
Ned
my
Stark
point-
got
here's my
beheaded.
one of you
So
said
the
that you were
level
not
was
watching
different.
Game of Thrones like early on.
Yeah, exactly.
For that-
I started
exactly
watching
that
it.
I watched it.
reason.
Oh, you watched it later. Third
But a
season.
lot of people
You watched
start-
the third
Yeah,
season.
That's when a lot
Yeah,
of
exactly.
people started watching. Is what I'm saying.
That's when people start because
You had the
everybody was
core
talking about
fans
that.
at
so.
the beginning, but then later on, a lot of people started later. A lot of people didn't.
But the
start
thing with
Yeah.
anthology shows is they cannot tap into this thing. So
yes, they can. So now,
okay,
explain.
talked about it.
Talk about.
The problem is, the problem I want to say is the case is that when you have this, where you can build this fan base, what happens is that people become more loyal, so you can slack off more. That's what tends to happen.
Mm.
So that's what offsets the fact that it's harder to keep a TV show going longer because keeping the story quality is difficult. People are more loyal, so you can also get away with more.
Yeah.
Because they've been watching it now longer. They've built a routine of a habit of watching it. They watch it every year when it comes out on Netflix, or they watch it every week, every episode.
Yeah, you don't have to collect a new fan base. They're gonna watch you anyway.
They're
when
gonna
you
watch
come
it
out.
anyway, even
If you
if the
come out
shit
like
is
3
sucky.
years later.
But even
Yeah.
if your shit is jank as fuck, they'll
Yeah.
still keep watching. Because now I want to see what happens to Dexter.
I've been here for 4 seasons.
And you hate
I
fucking-
cannot just disappear.
How I
Tiger-
Met Your Mother. That's a good example.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You're
How I Met Your
emotionally
Mother.
invested.
No, listen.
Now
I'm
you're
still
emotional-
disappointed. I'm still disappointed in the end.
he's a-
No,
In the
seriously.
ending.
Get it
At
out.
the ending.
Yeah.
I'm seriously.
I stopped watching.
Listen.
That was a problem.
How
I couldn't.
How
I
do you
had
choose? No.
so much time
this
invested
is
in
the
this shit, I couldn't
this
get
is
out.
the girl. Nah, man.
Get it out.
Nah.
like that was
Again
I-
with the get it out.
it
Don't
was
bottle it up.
so much time. Like I invested so much time into this. I needed to see the end. Like
But that's what I'm saying, right?
I needed to do.
But that's what I'm saying. But if the shitty seasons they did later on had been the first season, you would have stopped watching.
I would not.
immediately.
I wouldn't even start
You
watching
see,
it.
you would have stopped watching immediately.
Mhm.
But so when the first season is really good, you get invested. At a certain point, if they start weeds, I kept watching. I knew they fucked up. As soon as she left that neighborhood, I said, "This is done." I kept watching though, because
Yeah.
now I have to.
How
See.
are the ratings? I'm gonna check this out.
People
for
will
the
say
later
that it was still
seasons.
very good. People still thought Weeds was
Yeah,
very good.
but
after that.
comparing it to the first
because
few.
you
Because of the
now have
first-
the built-in
initial-
audience.
yeah,
the first 3
yeah.
seasons were
You-
phenomenal.
but
'Cause you can't
now
be the
have
only one that
built-in
thinks this.
audience because you cannot leave anymore if you're watching it, or you can leave, but people will not leave as easily anymore. You have the built-in audience, so like
in
Oliver says, you
anthologies-
can do whatever you want.
Well, anthologies, what I was saying is you do have that hybrid where you can build that audience because it's still the same universe. It's still the same type of characters. It's still the same type of story, same feel, same type of the way it's shot. But you get the cheat code of being basically a new season every time.
Hmm.
So you keep being
But
able to
what
refresh.
are
So
you-
it doesn't have to become shitty.
But
You see, what
You
I'm
need
saying?
to be-
what do you get invested in then?
you get invested in the world.
I
The-
think
the
world,
town's
the
dynamic.
concept,
The whole concept, the whole world.
'Cause the co-
Like if a show had like True Detective, it felt like it had a supernatural kind of tone to it, but it didn't. It was just a good detective show.
You see, this is why the concept has to be very unique.
Mm.
Because the concept is what people are coming for. The characters indeed go away. It has to be the idea of the
Yeah.
character. Like I said, Rachel McAdams in True Detective season 2 is literally Matthew McConaughey in season 1. That was what they were
Yeah.
trying to do. At least that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, it wasn't that obvious.
Even the way that it was shot, with the shots of the different roads and stuff in Louisiana, they always take the element of in season 1. They really focused on the environment, sort of being another character. That's sort of as if there's sort of the evil of the people sort of seeps
That's
into
what
the
that's
environment and
the
into
supernatural
the nature.
thing that
That's where the supernatural
it
comes in.
feels like that. But
Yeah. And they use the creepiness of Louisiana stuff. And then what he tried to do that now in California and try and mimic that too, like the big open roads in the deserts and stuff like that, and the things like that. So that you have to have a very powerful and very specific original format. I think American Horror Story is the same thing. It's a very unique idea of how it works. And every time it's in a different place, I think that then it's a hotel, then it's an asylum, then it's this and that.
Yeah.
But it's always the same.
Then
Concept.
probably
The
what
conceptually
we could
very
maybe
strong.
conclude that what the True Detective maker did wrong was not think out the concept. He thought out the story. He thought out the show instead of he thought out the season instead of the one concept. Like Fargo did well.
That's why Fargo had an advantage, though, because Fargo is a movie, it's adaptation. So there, the concept was there.
They only needed to
They
translate the
just needed
concept.
to translate it on television to make
Yeah.
it go on. Coen Brothers, their movies, because the Fargo is not based on just the movie Fargo. It's also based on other movies of Coen Brothers.
No,
Particularly
definitely,
No
when-
Country for Old Men. That's definitely in there
If you've never watched the movie Fargo, you could still you can get into the series easy.
easily.
You don't need to know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a format. They have this small town in Minnesota in the middle of nowhere, and once every like 30 years or some shit happens there, like some crime,
Horrible
and it's
crime.
like behind the scenes, it's all underground. But then by accident, just a citizen in that town gets invested in it. Somehow he gets in touch with that thing by running over, for example, one.
And they're so similar. They're both crime dramas. They both question the idea of immorality and evil, the idea of violence. I don't know. We're on a very philosophical level. There's always that character who talks about just how these kind of things can happen. And you see, like in Fargo, particularly, they struggle with it when stuff like this happen. They don't understand because nothing like that happens in their city. So there's always these characters who are like, why would something like this happen? And where is this coming from? But then there's always, again, they always have that police officer who is calm and collected, who just, although it's such a weird and violent action, they're still just approaching it and doing it as if they're just
'Cause it's so
doing their
surreal to
job.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And what was I gonna say?
yeah. There's always the element of, there's the UFO.
Yeah, so it's
in
it's
season 2.
there were all these references, by the way, to the UFO. In every single episode, there's a reference to
But in
UFOs.
True Detective, you have spirits.
Yeah.
You see, there's always like an extraterrestrial.
I
Extra-
don't know if that is
supernatural
just
thing.
the signs of the time or if it is just these creators wanting to add that kind of stuff in. But
Yeah,
Well,
that- that's
there
something
were a lot
maybe.
of UFO sightings in the
Yeah,
70s
in
those
Minnesota.
in those kind of areas.
Oh yeah,
That's why they did that.
then it makes-
And there's the
makes
Coen
sense.
Brothers element, man. The
Yeah.
Coen Brothers fingerprints are all over this thing.
Yeah, it's classic. Coen
They
Brothers.
they have their own franchise basically. They have their own cinematic universe, as it were. or
They have a
something like
genre.
that. Yeah.
It's a Coen
Yeah.
Brothers is a genre now.
Yeah.
I think. It's this like here. It's like this town. The town is like this innocent town where nothing bad ever happens, and that sort of masks the bad shit that's happening behind the scenes. Like people don't know what's going on because the town is so innocent in the middle of nowhere. That's a dark comedy element.
No, I think it's a very powerful show. I think the part where Lauren Malvo is talking to Lester Nygaard in the hospital in the first episode, and he's basically explaining to him that he should do something about how he's being treated by his wife, and that other guy who told him that he had relations with his wife when they were young or something. And he's telling him, and he convinces him to let him go kill the guy.
Yeah.
Like just by talking, like the idea of like being violent and using violence and being evil, and this is one person who brings that element in there. And then True Detective, it's more like in Fargo, it's like they're there. They also use the environment and the location of But there's like it's peace and it's peaceful, it's rural and it's small town. But then there's this influx of evil, and then a True Detective is like everything around them is consistently just evil.
Evil, yeah.
And
Yeah.
they have to sort of like deal with it. It's just these gruesome crimes, and everyone's
Mhm.
corrupt and everything is evil. But in Fargo, it's the opposite. Everyone's really nice, but there's all of a sudden just some sort of mishap.
But hey, everywhere they link, in Fargo, everywhere they link season 2 to season 1 in a way. Is it the end of season 2? This is going to be a bit of a spoiler. I don't know if it is.
Yeah.
When the Native American, what's his name? When he
Forgot his name.
when he's on that baseball field in the city suddenly, like
Yeah.
these kids that are bullying Lester Nygaard. These are the two kids. One of them was the I think.
They're the two kids that show up in they're in season one. In season one, they're the one who can talk.
Yes, they're exactly. That's
The one who can't talk
yeah,
and is his friend or brother or whatever.
Mhm.
That's them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice way to tie it back in.
No,
You're
but
gonna-
it's-
you have-
like,
you're gonna get to this episode, you're
Season
gonna-
2 is the story of, in season 1,
Yeah.
the police officer lady,
Mhm.
the lady basically,
Mhm,
her
mhm.
father.
Yeah.
It's his story. Yeah, that's what season 2 is.
Yeah.
Oh
You
shit!
didn't realize that?
You didn't realize that?
Oh,
The police
now-
officer-
Now I see it.
the
now
police
I completely
officer-
see
the
it.
So
police
his
officer-
daughter is the police officer.
Yeah. The police officer because he tells in season 1, he actually tells the story of season 2. He talks about it. He says,
Now I see
I had this
it.
one
Yeah,
case.
I didn't notice that.
He
Jesus.
said he has his whole he talks to Lorne Malvo, and he has his whole monologue where I had this one case in Sioux Falls.
Yep.
And it was
That's the
horrible,
one.
and it was bodies on body.
When he's on the balcony, sitting on. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is that case. It's his story.
Ah.
So the police
Ah.
officer in season 2, the guy, that's her father in season.
And the
Fine.
end of the second season, but there were also the bullies, right?
Yeah.
One of them was the guy who died in the first one, right? He was killed the
Who
first
killed?
season of
Yeah.
Fargo.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
The one who bullied Lester Nygaard
this,
back in the
this
day.
is the kind of stuff that makes this so interesting. Like if you have this, you don't need to. You don't need to continue to see the show in every season. It doesn't need to be the same story. It can just be this world with connections. It doesn't need to be directly tied. It can be loose connections, and you can get all of this done.
But
And that is
in
interesting.
season 3, it doesn't seem like they did that at all.
They just took something completely different.
Hey, but maybe in a bit
It could
it'll just suddenly
they
link
could
up.
have some kind of link.
Yeah, they
somewhere.
might just link it up all of a sudden.
What is it? The third season doesn't take place in the same in Minnesota, right?
2010.
But still Minnesota in the same town.
Yeah.
Oh, so there you go.
Because I haven't started season
That's
3.
also something really good. Like Fargo knows how to handle new times. They try to challenge themselves and say, "Yeah, we're going into new time periods." True Detective stayed, I think, in the same kind of maybe 1 or 2 years apart, but not that big of a difference.
How do we do it right, man? Because Fargo's doing something different now. If you watch season 3, the pace is very
Mhm.
different. It's slower. It's calmer. It's more dramatic rather than like the fast pace. You guys have seen it, right? Or
The third one of Fargo?
yeah, season
No, not yet.
No, no.
Oh, yeah,
no.
well, it's okay.
not
Well, then
third.
you have to see it, but it's a little bit different. I'm curious to see if they're gonna uphold, if they're gonna be able to do it right.
Yeah,
True Detective failed.
because I don't know
What-
what to expect.
What
of it.
about season 3 of True Detective? It's coming out. What do? We have 1 or 2 characters. What else?
Like 1 or 2 characters, I would say focus, like heavily focus on the characters again. Like make sure that we get to know these characters, start to feel for them.
You know what the problem was? You
What?
know what the problem was though? Fargo didn't depend on star actors. That's also an issue.
Mhm.
True Detective did. Because Matthew McConaughey and Woody
True.
Harrelson are too much of a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I think he had 4 people. Because he couldn't get people at the level of Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. So then what he did is he got 4 people, so like that are also famous, really famous and,
Yeah.
and well known. So then they could sort of match up for like the 2 other people. You
And
see
he
what
made
I'm
the
saying?
troubled one hot.
The problem is also that the good
She is
ca-
hot, man. Rachel McAdams.
She's on my list,
He
man.
had
She's-
good
Rachel
actors.
McAdams is a
He
thing.
had good high profile actors, so it would be better if
And she has a sex addiction in True Detective season 2.
you
Mhm.
started
This is-
him off a weird.
She's a
I'm gonna show Duncan who this
Oh,
is.
wait.
Rachel McAdams is a serious thing, man. It's a serious
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
Go ahead, man. You were talking
No,
about
but,
it. You lost your train of thought now. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're
He's
talking
thinking about Rachel
Rachel
McAdams.
McAdams being a thing.
God damn it.
Talk about it. No, I think that was a problem. I would like to see them make the smart move and go in True Detective season 3 with less known actors. Just go full on. Just own it. Just go with less known actors.
They
Yeah.
have the name already.
I
They
think
don't need to.
I think it's a huge advantage to use less known actors in television. I really think it is because you can really the one of my most. I mean, Martin Freeman is kind of famous. One of my favorite actors in and everyone's the breakout star of Fargo was Alison Tolman, who played the police officer lady, who no one knew.
Yeah.
Who no one knew. She was the one who.
But then they used Colin Hanks, Tom Hanks' son.
Who's not super famous.
Who's not, but he doesn't have
Billy Bob Thornton is like a legend, but he'd been away for a long time.
with his band.
But the thing,
Which we should review his music maybe on a podcast.
We hadn't seen him on TV or on anything for a long time, so the young generation doesn't know him.
But he's a Coen Brothers actor. He's on all the Coen Brothers films.
I
On
think
most of
he's
them.
Not in Fargo.
Not in Fargo, but he's on most of. He's on the one with George Clooney and Catherine
He
Zeta-Jones.
is a Coen
that was
Brothers
it called?
character. You just
Yeah.
see that in his whole
Um,
thing. That man killed that role, man.
He,
Killed it.
he kills all this, but he always plays the same type of character and like to himself, into himself, and
I think they should
Yeah.
do on True Detective season 3. They should get someone else that's not as known. I'm trying to think of who.
but we
I
wouldn't
think
know.
the curse and
Someone
the
like
gift
him.
of True Detective season 1 was the fact that they got good actors, but the curse is that they were also really high profile.
Yeah, like Zac Efron or something.
Like
Big
Vince
guy.
Vaughn. Vince Vaughn, I know him from all the comedies and the typical Vince Vaughn movies, and that was what probably was in my head the whole time, back in my mind.
I
Even though he
think-
killed the role.
That was a big thing for a lot of people. For me also, like I saw Vince Vaughn and I thought, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's just like
I don't know if
his
he-
dialogue.
But he killed it.
He killed it. But in the back of my mind, I just know all his Vince Vaughn movies, you know, the comedies and the dramas and stuff. And that's what played for me, like just downplayed the character a little bit.
They should
It
get
was a problem for
they should
me.
Get Daniel Radcliffe or some motherfucker like that.
No, nah, man.
No, he's
It
not
would be
very
cool
good
if they
I don't-
just took
I
somebody.
don't
Oh,
know.
whoa, 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 whoa! I know who. They should get Paul Dano.
Huh.
Paul Dano would kill something like this.
They should bring
There
a
will
kind
be
of
blood.
Where
guy.
has he been in?
There will be blood, particularly.
The character who played Mike Milligan, like that kind of thing. A guy who's gonna kill it, like a guy who nobody knows.
Cillian Murphy could do something like this too. Peaky Blinders. You guys, see, you don't know them. That's the point. They're very, very, very good actors that are respected within the community, but they're not like superstars or something.
Oh,
No,
I know
yeah,
this
you have
one,
a lot of those.
yeah.
You know Paul Dano.
I noticed that all the successful series,
I'm never good with names. So.
all the
need
successful
to
series
explain
that
me where-
do this, that cast these unknowns and stuff, they always end up killing it because
Yeah.
it's just the character they're playing on, not because some people write scripts for specific actors.
Yeah.
They're just forming a character around the script, which is perfect if they can kill it.
Or they should get Rami Malek, Mr. Robot.
Yeah.
Oh, he's awesome.
Something
I would
like
need.
that.
I
But
don't,
he already on something though with this Mr.
Yeah.
Robot. We need to talk about Mr. Robot, man, at a certain point in time. Not today, but
maybe
we need
next
to talk
when,
about it.
when the next season starts.
Yeah, we should talk about that TV show.
So with that said,
Yeah, Duncan wants to conclude. Go ahead and conclude it, man.
Do your thing.
so thank you for listening. Follow us on all social media, and
Look out for True Detective season 3. It's coming out. I don't
If you
know
wanna
when.
watch
I
it,
don't
watch
know
it.
when. I don't know when. Ask HBO, but I heard.
And
it's
keep
coming
watching
out.
Fargo.
Tell us who you would like to see in it. Who should they cast?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I really would like to know that.
Yeah.
And tell us if you agree or disagree with us about how we think this show is good.
Jeff
Maybe
is
you think
offering
it-
himself for shitting on.
Maybe you think it's bad. Maybe you think we have shitty taste. We probably
yeah,
don't
maybe
have.
you
probably
don't
have
like
shitty taste.
anthologies and those type
They're
of
both.
things, so-
They're both. Oh no, I think you're talking about our show, the podcast. Right?
Yeah.
Ah,
Both.
Maybe you don't
Our
like
show-
Oliver. Send
our
Oliver
show
hate
and,
No,
mail.
our show is great. I don't want it. I don't need their opinion on that.
We
Give
need
us your
to
opinion on
talk
these
to
two
us.
TV shows.
Don't give your
He's right.
opinion on the show.
Oliver is right.
Yeah, because our
Yeah.
show is good anyways. so
Like,
we
what
don't-
type of stupid shit energy are you putting out there, idiot?
Shut the fuck up.
Oliver's gonna get death threats at some point. He's been getting death
How am I
threats.
getting death threats? They're the one who said these things. Anyway, thank
Oh,
you.
cool. Thank you for listening. These we were the three angry men.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Thanks for listening. Follow us on social media at 3_angry men on Instagram and Twitter. On Facebook, follow us at 3angry men podcast. And on iTunes, please rate and subscribe and leave a review. Let us know what you thought.
And follow AirFM on Facebook and Twitter at official AirFM and on Instagram at air.fm.